So as I progress on a painting, I'm filling in large blocks of color, I am filling in background, and it's not necessarily how the painting will turn out in the end, but I'm beginning. And to get rid of the extra white on the canvas and to really start filling in the areas that I'm seeing, defining different areas of the painting is really important at this point. I'm not focused on finalizing, I'm not focused on sharp edges. At this point, it's still rather messy and playful. I'm playing with colors a little bit. I'm putting some undertones that may or may not show through at the end. You may see some of the purple towards the end and you might not. So it's an ever-changing process at this point. I'm using a lot of water at this point as well. I like the drips. I like the messiness. I like to see what kind of just happens as I'm going along. There's some planning. I know how I want the painting to look in the end, but I don't have all the details completely worked out at this point. I'm more in the process, like what is looking good, what is working, what isn't working. The wonderful element of acrylic paints is, in quotations, how easily it can be covered up and changed later. So if there's a whole color that I'm not enjoying, that I thought would work, but I want to cover up, it's not a big problem to go back in and completely redo that area in a different color. With oils, it would be a bit more tedious. There's a longer drying time. There's less coverage depending on the colors that you're trying to cover up. But with acrylics, there's a lot more leniency in this area. So it does take a while. These are large paintings, and there is a lot of time involved just covering space. This is very therapeutic for me. I enjoy just the process. It's kind of like my mind can wander at this point because I'm filling in blocks of color and I'm just kind of playing with things. So here I'm using some greens for the undertones. I've got some metallic green and blue. In my mind, I'm thinking this will go very well with the goldish colored curtains that I have on either side. I feel like this is a much more softer palette than I go for usually. I'm usually very bright colors, very bold. This painting will bolden up as it gets closer to the end, but at this point I'm concentrating on some softer colors in the beginning. And in the background, you'll notice that I'm concentrating on defining the heart in the foreground from the background. In the background, I will start to use my brush strokes as I'm adding more color. It's not going to be up and down. There's going to be some circular patterns, really to create movement in the painting and for your eye. As you're looking at a painting, you want your eye to move around the canvas as much as possible. That way it's not very stagnant. You might be noticing new things each time you look at it. So the movement and playfulness is pretty important to me in a painting. So you'll notice here I'm using a very large brush because I have large areas to cover. And also when I'm creating the drips and the more messier looking playfulness in the painting. That wide brush holds a lot of paint and also a lot of water. So when I'm dipping the brush in the water and bringing it back to the canvas, I'm carrying water that I want it to drip. I want it to come down over other areas of the painting. So as you see here, I've progressed on the painting a little bit. I've added some different colors. I've filled in things a bit more. And I've also started to add some other shapes, brush lines to just make it a little more interesting. I enjoy the circles or whatever, like there's squiggly lines in the back, things to create some more depth. And as I just keep going through layers and layers and adding, there is a lot more depth to the piece. So now I'm attaching what I call the theater curtain to the painting. And I want it draped in a certain way, and using a hot glue gun is the best way for me to achieve the look that I'm after. Later, I go back and I sew the curtain. I attach it maybe a little more firmly than just with the glue gun, but the glue gun gives me the ability to just work as I'm going and get the right shapes. So here in this process of the painting, after the curtains have been attached, is when I start to apply the shadowing effects to the painting. I'm using a very, what do I want to say? Like, it's a very coarse brush. I'm using a watered down black and purple. There's some different colors in there. And I'm not going so dark all at once. I want to build up some layers of the shadowing. And this will really help the image pop and stand out. This is kind of closer to the more final stages of the painting.